This is Robert Lucas, the studio manager here at Cinderella Sound. Robert, how did you meet Wayne Moss?
Actually, the first time I met Wayne was I was about 18 years old, and we were going to the same church in Hendersonville. And then many years later, I was going to a Christian fellowship downtown for music industry folk, and got reacquainted with Wayne then. And I had just gotten married and was moving out of my house where I had my little project studio, and had approached Wayne about renting a mix room from him so I could set up my stuff. And one thing turned into another, and we moved the Pro Tools system up here with all the wonderful analog gear, and I've been here about 5 years now.
I see. Had you ever worked in a 24-track analog studio before?
Not to the extent that I have here. I did years ago when I was going to Belmont, and then did some internship stuff at some studios around town.
What about this Flickinger console? Had you ever seen a Dan Flickinger console before?
Not before I came to Cinderella. It was my first real experience with a Flickinger, and have come to love what this console does and how it sounds, and I think I've come to know how it sounds.
This is one of the very first solid-state discrete consoles offered for sale, I believe. In fact, we've been discussing them amongst ourselves here, how many there were in Nashville at one time. This is a fairly unique console in that it was built, I believe, specifically to Wayne's specification and request. Is that correct?
It is actually, and Wayne can explain this later, but Wayne actually had just wanted a 16-channel console to begin with, and Daniel Flickinger explained to him that no, you really want a 24-channel console, and so that's how it came about. But yes, it was modified to Wayne's specifications, and with the remote preamps and wired by Daniel Flickinger all in here.
All right, talk a bit about the 2-inch machine behind you.
Well, this one came from Pete Drake's studio. Wayne bought it from Pete Drake years ago, and from what we understand, it had recorded Ringo's "No No"
Wow.
song on it and stuff. So,
Goodness, I didn't know that.
And it's still completely functional. It was fully serviced by Steve Smith last year, and we still use the 2-inch. Folks come in, we do transfers, and or we have folks that want to cut the tape, and so.
And Wayne had a 2-inch 16-track before this?
He's got the
Ampex?
16-track heads for this guy.
But he never had an Ampex 2-inch machine?
I don't believe so.
Just an 8-track?
Just the 8-track.
Scully?
Right.
Okay, and I see there's still two 2-track Scullys here. There's lots of channels of Dolby A. There's also a DBX 187, I believe, there in the rack.
Yep. And and Wayne's pretty much got all the gear he's ever bought over the years and stuff.
So he can play every master that he's got in the vault.
Absolutely, he's got for the Scully that's out in the drum room and stuff. He's got, I believe, the 3-track, the 4-track, and he's got an 8-track head somewhere that we.
Wow. Talk about the light metering on this console. It's very unique and was first of its kind, I believe.
First of its kind, and the original LED metering, I guess, for any system and stuff, and it still works very well. But Flickinger was ahead of his time on so many things and stuff. But it was believed that VU meters caused noise in the channel, and that was why he went with the LED meters, because there are certain consoles that the VU meters.
But these actually have incandescent bulbs in them,
They do.
don't they?
They do.
It's not truly an LED.
No,
it looks like an LED.
It looks like an LED, right.
They're
But it is truly
little grain of wheat incandescent bulbs that
Yes.
have to be replaced from time to time.
And we've got several boxes of those around that we do. The other thing that's really cool about this console is its switching matrix over here. And instead of, like, if you've got something come in on 16, you can hit 16 red and then go to another channel and then come back and switch again, and it automatically patches it around to channels. Like you would just come up, say you wanted it to come in on 23 or 22, and then you'd be in channel 22 up here.
Right.
So it was very, very, I don't know, it was really thought out very well to have the switching and stuff. Instead of having to jump up to go to the patch bay to channel, to switch a channel, you can easily do it by the switching matrix over here.
Talk about the JBL monitors. I noticed that 4310s are the monitoring standard here. There's 2 sets.
Yeah, there are 2
in
sets,
the control room.
and they're accurate. Wayne has used them for years and years. I don't know how many albums have been cut on these monitors and stuff, but there's a distinct sweet spot to set in when you're mixing and stuff, and it comes right. You got to lean forward just a little bit, and that's put your ears right in the sweet spot.
Indeed, I think the Barefoot Jerry albums in particular hang together really well across the time span they were recorded, and I would give credit to the consistency in monitoring.
Oh, absolutely. I was a Barefoot Jerry fan, when I was younger and stuff, and to come in and set in here, having listened to the albums for years, and then I consider and go, oh, okay, I get it. Because the albums sound just like what they sound like right here.
I was thrilled to sit here and listen to a Barefoot Jerry Master about a week ago and couldn't believe how pristine it still sounds.
Yeah, Wayne takes care of his stuff, so it's held up over years. I guess one thing about this room, and again, it seems to be very accurate in the small space that it's in. It's very accurate what you hear. There's no rumbling around of anything, nothing swishes around in here, bass or anything.
It's very intimate. It's
very
fairly
intimate.
small, but it's extremely diffused just from all the equipment in here.
Absolutely.
Which is a benefit.
Actually, now Wayne is a master at doing vocal overdubs at the console.
Sitting at the console.
He'll bring a U67 in here, and he will sit here and do overdubs, for hours, whatever he needs. Wayne's a master of layering parts and layering vocals. I've told him several times he could have been one of the Beach Boys, because he's got this Brian Wilson thing about him.
Some of the vocal stacking in those Barefoot Jerry albums is amazing.
A lot of it was done right here.
Right there.
Flickinger set up the patch bay to run 2 24-track machines, so that you could dump from one 24-track into another, and we've done that before. We've got an HD 24 that we've used to dump with and stuff, but he had the foresight to, you got 24 machine A, and then you got 24 machine B, and we have used that a lot, especially when we're transferring 2-inch masters to digital and stuff.
Right.
It's made all the difference in the world.
Almost no one thought they'd need 2 24 tracks back in that day and time, and now it's more than routine.
That patch bay is big as a refrigerator, but it is held up well.
1/4-inch tip ring sleeve.
Yep.
Fully the broadcast professional standard in that era.
Absolutely.
Lots of the early Neves were built like this.
Yeah.
They pretty much disappeared in the 80s with the miniature tip ring sleeves.
There's just so many point-to-points, and it was just really well thought out, and like I say, Flickinger could see ahead of what an engineer or a studio would need, and I think beyond even what Wayne could see at the time, Flickinger's like, no, you need this. You're going to need this one day, and he was right.